Hello and welcome to reInvent 2020 and our session, Helping to Build the Future of Retail on AWS. My name is Scott Langdock and I'm the global lead for grocery retailing at Amazon Web Services. Today we're excited to talk about how the combination of our heritage in retail, our focus on customer obsession, and the key value in innovation has helped us create the most innovative cloud platform available today in use by thousands of retailers around the globe. At AWS, we have been able to support one of the most innovative retailers in the world, that being Amazon.com. So when we say that AWS was born from retail and built for retailers, it's not just a slogan, we mean it. And one of the best ways to show how the depth and breadth and capabilities at AWS services retailers around the world is to share some metrics that we have from Amazon's most recent Prime Day event, which I think most know is a two-day event now in 2020. So in terms of scale, AWS was able to support 16.4 trillion, that's with a T, API calls through the course of the two-day event. We were able to support 450 billion HTTP requests. We securely moved over 563 petabytes of data each of the 2 days of the Prime Day event. And on those 2 days, as Amazon was managing almost 3/4 of the e-commerce business done in those 48 hours, we did so with 100% uptime. And probably most exciting is the fact that we've been able to establish over 190 different services on the AWS platform, many of them being optimized cloud services focused on retail capabilities, including solutions like Amazon Forecast, Amazon Fraud Detector, Amazon Personalize, Amazon Lex for voice commerce. We're really excited about those capabilities and our born from retail heritage. Looking at the industry as a whole, one of the things we've all been witnessing is some pretty significant changes in shopper behavior. And it's not just the fact that there are increasing complexities and functions that shoppers are doing in their behavioral changes. It's just the aggressiveness and the swiftness by which those behaviors have shifted. And this shift has occurred well before COVID-19 and the global pandemic, but has certainly taken on a different course in the year 2020. But there are a number of things in shopper behavior that have been very consistent in how shoppers have behaved, and more importantly, what their expectations are from their retail experiences. Customers want a hyper-personalized shopping experience in whatever channel and in whatever way they want to shop. They want to have as much friction removed from their customer engagements, from their transactions, as is possible each and every time. They want the most digitally immersive capabilities available, whether they're shopping online or actually shopping in store. They, of course, assume and take for granted that their data and their privacy is being securely managed. And lastly, whether, again, shopping in a digital online environment or shopping in store, they expect that there is tight cohesion, tight integration between those capabilities so it ultimately becomes a singular customer experience. At AWS, on the industry team, on the retail industry team, we kind of view our strategy through three key pillars. First is transform your engagement. That's how we view the need to move toward a more digitally immersive and new in-store technology model so that the combination of both creates a next generation unified commerce platform. Optimize your operations is the need to look at migrating all of the key business critical applications to a cloud native environment. And lastly is increase your insights. And this is the need to ensure that you've established a very strong data foundation on which you can build a breadth of analytic and AI and ML based predictive insight capabilities, so that you have a more granular view, a more predictive view of customer activity, of your business activities, so that you can proactively respond and execute efficiently. One of the things that becomes exciting when we view the success and the growth of the AWS platform is how many retailers around the world operate on AWS. We continue to have by far the largest number of retailers running of any cloud provider in the market. The logos on this slide represent those that we have case studies for that you're welcome to review. And one of the really exciting parts about this session is the ability to hear from a customer and what they have been able to develop as a part of their business strategy and their transition to a digital and cloud journey. So I'm very excited to introduce Mr. Phil Jordan, who is the Group CIO for Sainsbury's, one of the oldest, largest, and most innovative grocers in the United Kingdom. Phil today will give you a review of their business strategy and the work that they've been doing in their digital and cloud journey. Phil?
Thank you, Scott. Hi, it's great to be back at reInvent. My name is Phil Jordan, as you heard, and I am the Group CIO of Sainsbury's in the UK. Fantastic opportunity for me to share with you how we've been leveraging the cloud and AWS through what has been a very difficult year for us and for all of us in relation to the COVID pandemic. So great opportunity for me to do that, and I'll walk you through a few key stories and key slides about our response to COVID and touch later on the partnership with AWS. So the first slide you can see here today really covers off a bit more about Sainsbury's. So if you don't know us, we're one of the big 4 UK retailers, grocery retailers. We operate in about 1,400 stores, sales of about £32 billion. As you can see on the slide, nearly 180,000 colleagues, with a long history of innovation. So we were the first UK supermarket to go till-less recently. We're also a general merchandise business with Argos, our brand Argos, and the third most visited e-commerce site in the UK. And we're very proud to have the largest affiliate loyalty program in the UK called Nectar, with 5 million active users. And we're a multi-brand, multi-channel retailer. So we have in our business, as I said, Sainsbury's, Argos, Nectar, and we also have a bank, Sainsbury's Bank as well. So we're very much bringing many businesses to customers in a joined-up multi-brand way. So like many other businesses, we've been wrestling with COVID all through the year. And it's fair to say, we've learned a lot as we've gone along. And actually, in some ways, it's been hugely galvanizing for our business. And look, I know we've all been looking at how do we rethink and replace our business based on what we've learned from COVID. And I added this slide just to sort of talk through briefly what we believe are some of the trends and some of the accelerations we've seen in customer behavior, both that have come and that we would think have gone, but also things that we're not too sure whether will stick around or not. So we certainly saw, lots of safety measures being highly important to customers. We saw the panic buying and temporary pantry loading for essentials back at the March and April timeframe. And we saw a sort of steep fall off in non-essentials. And that's not all been clear how that recovers. So huge sort of shift in consumer buying when we first entered the pandemic. And we really see certain trends accelerating, certainly a flight to value. We're entering a very significant recession, and we see an increasing importance in value as we go into that recession. Obviously, a huge shift to digital. We've seen a massive step change in online buying and a channel shift away from the physical environment to digital. We've also seen that customers start to value sourcing locally and buying locally far more relevantly for them. And that's all part of, we believe, a big trend, an accelerated trend around health and sustainability. And then there's some trends in our shopping behavior that we're not, it's too soon to call whether we've seen the full outturn of what customers will do differently in the future. And that's certainly, we saw a shift back to big shopping versus shopping around and doing top-up shops, so multi-mission shopping. We've seen a swing back to customers going and doing one significant shop in the week. We've certainly seen a sort of de-urbanization of city centres as we've seen a decline in city centre traffic and therefore food spend. And we've seen a big swing back into eating at home as the food services and restaurant industries have closed down through COVID. And of course, we've seen a significant amount of buy-in for low contact shopping in a very sort of hygienic way in a very 2020 challenge that we all face. So it's a really interesting time in food retailing, and rising to the challenge of adapting our business and adapting the business model of Sainsbury's. The cloud has been absolutely central to our approach, both the cloud and AWS's support in the cloud as well. So let's just walk through a few examples of where the cloud has played such a significant role during this pandemic. And nowhere is it more clear than in our online food offer. And when you think about 130% increase in grocery online shopping for us alone, and that's been replicated across the industry. We've seen a 50% increase in participation in our smart shopping application, which is a self-scan, very much talking to this low contact shopping environment that people are really buying into. And we've had to rapidly increase our click and collect locations. So over the course of sort of a matter of months, scaling our grocery online business to unprecedented levels in a very low capex environment as well. So we're super proud of that. There's huge demand. We're just getting ready now for peak in Christmas, and the demand keeps growing. So we're now talking somewhere around 800,000 orders a week from a base of sort of 350,000 before COVID. So a huge increase. And the cloud obviously underpins all that. We're talking about in our grocery online application and service and platform, sort of 250 gigabytes every day, 30 million events daily, and sort of 1,000 near real-time events every second. So that instant scalability and our ability to adapt and the real agility to sort of be where customers need us to be through COVID has really only been possible because of our journey to the cloud. So really building a future retailer on the cloud. We've also been very, very proud of how we've used data differently through COVID. We were the first UK retailer to be able to use our own data to identify elderly, disabled and vulnerable customers. And that was really important to us because we wanted to lead on making sure that those customers had access to the food they needed as the country went into lockdown. So we contacted 1 million customers, having inferred and worked out from the data we know about them that they may be qualified as elderly, disabled and vulnerable. And that was incredibly well received by our customer base. And then subsequently we joined the government effort to use government data to sort of ratify that across the sector. But that created a huge amount of engagement with our customer base. And as you can see on the slide, hundreds of thousands of calls to call center were people asking and wanting to seek qualification. So, we're really proud of the fact that having migrated our business into modern data analytics capabilities, we were able to start leveraging that very clearly with real-time data, driving insight, driving action throughout the whole of COVID. And again, I've put on the slide just a measure of the scale of our data ecosystem now running in the cloud, running on AWS. A huge amount of intensity in the way we do analytics, and loads of opportunity for us to continue to drive insight and differentiation through data in Sainsbury's. But as I said earlier, we're not just a food retailer, we're a general merchandise business, and Argos has played a significant role as an online retailer throughout the whole of COVID, right from setting up of home gyms and televisions and people accepting they were going to be locked down, right the way through the spectrum of buying through gym equipment, through hair colouring and hair products. You can really see how people have lived their COVID life through what they buy through Argos. And as you can see here, significant visits, massive growth in digital sales. And we've actually pivoted the business to be, for long periods of time, to be a digital-only business, a click and collect business. So moving away completely from the physical channel. And our numbers have been pretty strong all year as demand has maintained for the products and the services Argos offer. And as you see here, these are sort of Black Friday numbers last year, and we've just come out of Black Friday in the UK brilliantly, again, I'm pleased to say. But you get a sense that over a year, a sort of 50% platform growth. We've seen a huge growth of microservices and huge and very credible uptime as we've really leveraged being in the cloud as an internet retailer. So real strong success story for our general merchandise business. Our journey, though, in the cloud started a number of years ago. So we started back in 2015. with a sort of shift of in-house development into the cloud. We really established a sort of cloud-first strategy 3 years ago, and we've been building more and more capability in the cloud with AWS as our principal provider of cloud services. So whether that's Smart Shop, the self-scanning application, or moving our data ecosystem, or more latterly, moving our e-commerce platforms into the cloud, we've seen a sort of controlled growth and optimization of cloud services. And we really are now a cloud-first business with a lot more migration to do because we've still got a lot of legacy, but with a cloud-first and cloud-native build mindset. And that's given us huge capability and huge agility, particularly this year as we've had to scale our online businesses so fast. I just gave a few examples on this slide about why we believe cloud gives us better business outcomes. And these are just some examples of some of the capability we've built recently in the cloud. You know, it ranges from a single place to interact with our suppliers, to collaborate and share information on all the products that we sell on their behalf, right the way through using data algorithms to optimize store selection and layout, so that when we replenish a store, we're doing it with a digital planogram and an algorithm that drives the colleagues to the right place in the store. So the spectrum of opportunity and the spectrum of outcome we've driven has been end-to-end in our business, and we really still are only scratching the surface. The opportunities are huge. I won't read all the slide, but you can read those for yourselves. We don't think there's any part of our business that isn't right for optimization by movement to the cloud, and then particularly the opportunity to have data, real-time data, and then expose that to our algorithms and analytics and data science to really exploit the power of the data in our business. Just coming to an end, Sainsbury's is a multi-channel retailer, as I said earlier. I'm very proud to lead an organisation that looks at digital technology and data very much in the round, very much a holistic approach to that. 1,700 brilliant people working in Sainsbury's, supported by a number of great partners. What we do is we really focus on the fact we're a business that's 150 years old, but we really believe that the scale of our business, nearly 30 million customers shopping every week, gives us a real ability to experiment and to be curious and to create services that really make a difference in the UK from a shopping perspective, and that really excites us. Finally, our partnership with AWS is now a long one. As I said earlier, we sort of came together in 2015. As you see here, we're now up around 65% of AWS services we use. Again, the EC2 and the Lambda and the RDS numbers are on the slide for you to read. We've had tremendous performance and throughput benefits. There's no doubt that as we've taken our services to the cloud, we've seen significant step on in performance. That's really important for us, but it's as important that we have this commonality and approach and a real partnership. And I've listed some of the things that are important to us and have become important in the AWS relationship. You know, that kind of that mindset of act first and contract later, embedded engineering so that we can really leverage AWS services, and an understanding of our customer base and our customer challenge. So it's a great relationship. It's central to our ability to leverage the cloud. And as I've shown you, that's been central to our ability to react to COVID and hopefully come out of COVID a stronger business. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. That was a fantastic review of all that you have going on the cloud at Sainsbury. We really appreciate your time today. For those of you that want more information on AWS and our work in the global retail industry, please take a look at aws.amazon.com/retail. We want to thank you very much for attending our session today. We greatly appreciate it. And by last note, want to just make sure you take the time to complete the session survey today. So once again, thanks for participating. Have a good day.